Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching POLITIRIXX. I'm Michael. We have Soledad, and we also have Dean. How you guys doing today?
Hey, all right.
So it's getting hot, Dean. It's getting exciting.
It's freezing out in Long Island, and we're expecting snow tomorrow. It's not hot.
Well, what I mean,
wait for the global warming episode. You guys are in for it.
Well, the political scene is getting hot because at some point people are going to have to just drop out completely. You know, we can't keep prolonging this.
But they're not dropping out. They know that, and they won't drop out. And then you got a guy like Karl Rove. Did you hear what Karl Rove said?
No.
He said that Trump, Kasich, and Cruz should just drop out.
All three of them and have nobody?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're going. Now, supposedly, the rumor is that the GOP is going to try to push Paul Ryan to run for president.
I'm surprised Mitt Romney's not throwing his hat back in the ring after his little speech that he gave.
He's a loser. They can't go with him. But that's what Karl Rove said, for the three of them to drop out.
I think you and I are both in agreement that our entire system is pretty whack at this point. And I wanted to talk a bit about what happened in Arizona, but before I get to that, I mean, one problem is, which is so sad considering this is America we're talking about, is there's no uniform system. There's not even a functioning system for voting. I'm talking about the actual mechanics for voting. In other countries, first of all, election day is usually a holiday. I mean, here we're trying to cram everybody's trying to, either before or after lunch or during their work lunch hour. I mean, and actually in Australia, voting is mandatory. So at least they don't get the pitiful, 6% participation that we get in non-presidential years. And
it's mandatory in Russia too. On the ballot it says Putin or Putin.
Right. Well, in Australia, you can vote for whoever you want, but in most countries, there's one set way of voting, whether it's you're doing a paper ballot or whatever. And I know in Mexico, they put a yellow thingy on your thumb to say that you voted or whatever. Here, it varies state by state. And, I'm sure you remember when in New York, we had the little lever thingies that we'd pull, remember?
I like those.
I did too.
In this new system, last time I voted, I was like, did that go through?
And you can't see it, right? Like the last time. It's now New York has for people who don't know, New York has the Scantron that's like the SATs you took in high school, and you got to fill in the bubble. And I knew high school students who had trouble doing that. Now you're going to have a senior citizen, trying to fill out the bubble. And I mean, I could barely read the ballot, to be quite honest. The last election in 2012, I could barely read the ballot.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because you remember 2012, it was a lot closer than what it was. But then all of a sudden, like, Obama would win something, and he got 100% of the county.
He was actually, in New York, he was on the ballot twice. Did you notice it? In New York, he was on the ballot twice. Did you notice that?
Yeah. And in other places where it's tight, it says he got 100%. You could not have possibly got 100%.
And it's
went in and voted for the other guy, or voted for a county or for whoever. There's no way he got the 100%.
And just starting back in 2000, I mean, never mind what I think was Scalia's worst decision ever to stop the vote count in Florida, because two groups really got hurt when that happened. Was they stopped the vote count for citizens who lived abroad, so a lot of those were retirees, like a lot of retirees from Florida, a lot of them live in Israel and so forth, but also the military. And I'm like, boy, you talk about giving somebody the big middle finger there. Like, thank you for your service. We're not going to count your vote.
But Obama did the same thing in the last election.
But I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
Because it was, in Florida, it was the decision that Scalia decided.
Military, get the ballots, nothing.
And, every vote should be counted. Every vote should be counted, and but then you had a number of other shenanigans that happened in Florida in 2000 that was in addition to the whole dangling Chads thing And I remember the silly little Ryder truck driving up and down I-95 and all of that. But you also had a number of incidents where Florida had a program called Motor Voter, where you could sign up, register to vote at the same time that you renewed your driver's license. And what happened there was a lot of people who registered to vote that way, when they went to the polls, they found out that they had them listed as felons. I mean, I would be pretty mad. I really, oh, you're a felon. No, I'm not. And then you had in other areas where you had the police actually setting up roadblocks, and of course it tended to be in lower income neighborhoods, predominantly minority neighborhoods, where the police were setting up roadblocks to kind of scare people from going to the polls.
Well, the Black Panthers did the same thing. The Black Panthers were at polling places, and even though they didn't physically attack somebody, the fact that they were there staring them down,
right,
the elderly were turning around. So both sides of the
absolutely
are guilty. You know?
And it's really been for the last few elections, because then skip forward to 2004. And in 2004, you had again reports of police intimidation in Tennessee, Ohio, Georgia. In Tennessee, you had a number of polling places that literally up and disappeared. So if you were, that elderly lady who for 50 years had voted at her corner church or corner school, all of a sudden you went to vote that day and your polling place was gone. And that happened to me in 2008 in New York. I went to go vote, and my address had been, I used to live in Lower Manhattan. So I went to go vote, and all of a sudden they said, oh, no, you're not. And of course, it's after work, right? So you're left with that little time slot after you get off work. And it was about 8 o'clock, and they're telling me, oh, you have to go to this address. So I go there, and then when I went there, they said, no, now they sent me to Midtown Manhattan, where I'm registered now. So so I'm watching the clock. It's 8:30. I have to go clear across town. I mean,
they redistricted your area. They did the same thing to me in 2012, and I just had minutes to spare. I thought I was going to a regular voting place, and they told me, "Oh no, you got to go." I was like, "Oh, for crying out loud!" I had like 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And it was absolutely. I made it in time, but then I was like, I wasn't sure if my thing was scanned. It went in and out so quickly. I was like, oh, bring back the lever. I mean, it wasn't that difficult,
Absolutely.
And, is it possible for anyone to come back and say, you know what, I want to be back in the race? Anyone that dropped out?
Oh, well, I don't.
Yeah, that's what they mean by suspending the campaign.
Yeah, that's right.
When they say suspending that campaign, it means they've spent
not out
money.
Right.
And they're trying to build up that treasure chest to either A, continue or pay everybody back. So, yeah. In fact, I think Rubio's trying to pull that.
A number of candidates had said they were suspending. Paul, the guy that I actually like, Rand Paul had suspended his as well, yeah. But just to quickly move forward to now what happened in Arizona for people who didn't hear, it was, again, just a complete fiasco. So you had a number of people, this was a little slicker than their polling sites just disappearing, a number of polling sites that were like in public schools, the buildings were evacuated. We're going to evacuate the building. No reason, no explanation. They just said we're evacuating the building. So again, if you had people that were on their lunch hour, now they're waiting for hours. They had, I guess Arizona had a similar program like Florida, where you could register to vote when you registered, when you got your driver's license renewal. And a lot of people found that when they went to vote, they were registered for the wrong party. So if you were a Democrat, you were registered as Republican and vice versa. Just no rhyme or reason, just, oh, today we put you down as independent or whatever, just whatever they felt like it. And one that infuriated me was they called Arizona for Hillary before the polls closed. There were still people waiting in line to vote.
Yeah. I think they do that to psych you out from voting. Like, yeah, all right, she won, so why bother? My vote's not going to count.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, it's probably something very close.
And that is what happened in Florida as well. When Florida happened.
It's not the first time that's happened.
The first one, yeah.
What would you think a solution would be? Do you think maybe making an election day a 2-day thing, giving people plenty of time to vote?
Well, not even making I don't even understand why we have the primaries. Like, it should just be one day everybody votes. Because basically what you have is certain states deciding for others, you know? Because by the, you know, like for New York, you know, if you were going to vote Republican, your choice, you didn't have the same choices that the folks in Iowa had.
Right.
You know, I mean, why is it Iowa's deciding for the rest of the nation? Or,
Right.
you know,
They would have more candidates at the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, the comment that people then make, you know, a friend of mine said this is actually what she's told me. She said, I really like John Kasich. He's the candidate I want, but he doesn't stand a chance of winning, so I'm going to vote for Trump. And I'm like, but that's the wrong reason to vote for somebody. You know, like you said, it's like people are just psyched out, like, well, I'm going to go for this guy because he's in the lead. And I'm like, you're supposed to be voting for somebody who represents your values. That's the idea.
Yeah. Now, you said something interesting. You said in Mexico they stamp you for voting?
Yes. They have a yellow, you know, like the club stamp that I was hearing.
So what are your thoughts on ID for voting? Because I mean, they have it in India. I know Nelson Mandela pushed for it. Voter ID. I think I'm for it because if you're not a citizen, I'm not saying you shouldn't be here or not, get insurance or whatever. I mean, if you're here, you're here. But if you're not paying the taxes or whatever, I don't think you should vote. I think there should be an ID card. What are your thoughts? Hello? Did we lose you?
Oh, I guess we lost her.
Okay, well, tonight on The Walking Dead, what are your thoughts, runner?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Well, the good thing about that is if you're in that situation, it's another way to help pay taxes. It's another way to know who's actually in your country. I think that's brilliant. I think it makes a lot of sense. And it's a win-win situation. People win. The government wins. They want to keep a track of everything.
Well, it's also, you're right. It's also a track of everything because I don't want to hear this guy won on 20,000 extra votes that came from people dead for the last 40 years.
Right.
I think ID should be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's a win-win.
I mean, you need a ID to drive.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you need an ID to vote?
Oh, now you're just making sense again. Yeah, I know. It's like you can't make this stuff up, folks. You're just making sense makes sense.
Yeah, to me, it's just a matter of making. It's just. I got news to you. So if you're in Bethpage this Wednesday,
mm-hmm.
I had no idea, but Mr. Trump is going to be here.
Wow. And for all of you that don't know where Bethpage is, that's in Long Island, New York.
Long Island, and he's going to be at the North, if I ever say this name right, Northern Grumman Studios.
Oh, really?
Where they filmed Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Right.
Salt. And that's a big place, and I guess they're expecting a lot of people.
Wow.
So I think that's pretty interesting.
Well, you know what?
In my backyard, I'm going to try to go there. I have a red hat. It says Florida, but
right. Well, the thing with the Trump, let's just pretend he wins. Okay. Because of his lack of decorum, are we looking at another war?
No.
You don't think he'll insult other countries to the point that it'll cause some problems?
I think a lot of them are doing the pigeon cooing, sticking the chest out thing to act tough, kind of like what the countries did before Reagan ran.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, everybody was freaking out. Reagan was going to cause World War III. We're still here.
But he almost did, though.
Who did?
Reagan. World War III almost happened so many different times. If you talk to anyone in the government.
If you want to talk to everyone, let them talk to me, because World War III almost started with the Congo in the 60s. So if we really want to go at it,
mm-hmm.
But
I mean, he did cause a lot of problems, But I don't even want to talk about past presidents. I'm just concerned with Trump right now and the
I don't think
president,
he-
if he was to become
won't.
president,
It won't.
I mean, he offends people within the country, offends people, he offends American citizens. So why would he be,
A lot of them are pushing for him, though.
right? But don't you think that's the fact that he says what he wants to say anytime he feels like saying it, that could be a danger to the country?
No, I don't, because I don't see that any different than other politicians have who are around today.
Right, but I'm just that there's
Like-
certain things for instance, when the people started running, for good and bad, there were a lot of subjects that people didn't want to touch, or they tried to dance and be politically correct. Now that's kind of bad from a citizen standpoint, because yes, you do want a clear picture of what a candidate believes in and what they plan on doing. But the other side of that, when an individual has no control of their tongue, they could end up getting not only themselves in big trouble, but getting the nation. Because now you're speaking for the most powerful nation in the world. You don't see that as an issue?
Oh,
A potential issue?
I don't.
Okay.
I really don't, because I'd rather people fear us than to do what's been going on the last 7 years.
Okay.
They just don't fear us. And you see a rise in terrorism, a rise in mass shootings, a rise in everything under this present president who is not feared. They didn't fear him, and you had the Arab Spring. They didn't fear him, and Russia's doing whatever the hell they want. They didn't fear him, and ISIS is just causing terrorism everywhere. Nobody fears this man. Nobody. You need a guy who leads a country this big for people to fear him.
Well,
It's not a matter of.
But they wouldn't fear anyone. I don't think anyone sitting in the seat of, running America. I don't think terrorists are terrorists. That's their job. I mean, like,
Right,
that's.
But Obama doesn't do anything about it. Whereas Trump, you said the way he talks and acts and whatever.
Well, I'm not. That's the
people
thing. I'm not
scared
even.
He will do action,
Well,
and you know what? He will.
But this is the thing. It's interesting because you went directly to terrorists. I'm not even putting them terrorists in the playing field of that, because by definition and by what they want, it doesn't matter who's in office. It doesn't matter if it's Hillary. It doesn't matter if Puff Daddy is in presidency. They're going to do what they're going to do. I'm talking about China. I'm talking about Russia. I'm talking about other nations that you have to have a certain amount of class, a certain amount of tact to, politician to politic to, if you go down to what
But
that.
I've seen stuff between between Putin and Trump, and they seem to be getting along fine.
Today, I'm just saying the way he handled the race, he has shown over the last several months.
I'm just saying, so just a few weeks ago, Putin said something nice about Trump. It's like he doesn't have a problem with Trump.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was some sort of dialogue.
But that doesn't mean tomorrow, if Trump feels like saying anything he wants to say, that he's just not going to just say it, and that could be a
But then we
problem.
could say that the same thing about Putin.
But I'm not worried about what Putin says, because he's not running America.
Oh, running Russia, and he's got his own nuclear bombs. Who's a former KGB guy.
Right. But even, actually, that's a good point too, because if you look at those other countries, they insult people strategically, and they say there's thought and there's time and they just don't randomly say anything at any moment. I think that's like a ticking time bomb to have the leader of any nation that will just insult people at will.
I'm back.
Could be a huge problem. You don't see that being a problem at all?
No, well, I think he's working on decorum a little bit. He has been a little bit more. He did apologize for that thing with Ted Cruz's wife. I didn't hear an apology from Ted Cruz.
Okay.
Trump did apologize. I mean, I think he's learning that he's got to be a little bit more political and have. It says he's a reactive guy.
Right.
And out of all these politicians, we can laugh about it, but
No,
then
I'll tell you in a second.
I'll explain it. Hold on, because all these candidates running, he's the only one who's actually has executive experience the last 30, 40 years. You know, he's the one, you read his book of the deal, is like, go in and fight what you want and be prepared to walk away if you don't get it. This guy doesn't play games. That's it. These other politicians, I like him, because he talks nice, or yeah, I like that response. Okay, fine. But, you know, who are we BSing? How many times they say something we want to hear, go around and do something else?
I agree with you, but that's
Okay.
not what I'm not even I'm specifically targeting.
Right.
Not that. I'm talking about a man that if he decide to, because of how he feels that particular day, will insult the wife, cousin, face, smell, whatever of any other leader, and then start another war based on, you know, men with power, actually men and women, people with power tend to be very insecure. You know, they all have their soft spots. And if this man just flies off the handle, that a leader can't do that. You know, a leader just can't do that.
When you say flies off his handle, a lot of times I see him fly off the handle is when he was attacked first.
No, but I think he's talking about the way he will just insult people and say, this person's fat, this person's ugly.
First.
That's, but if you're you're in the role of president, you're a diplomat, you're to the world. You have to show some restraint. I mean, it's not, you know, we're not on the playground in kindergarten. He picked on me first, but, you know, no, you got to show some reserve, or else, yeah, we could have World War III or nuclear annihilation because he called somebody's wife ugly or fat or accused her of being a porn star, hooker, whatever. I mean, you have to show restraint, you know?
Actually, it's funny. The reason why I laughed is because if no one knew what we were talking about, we edit the show right there, right? And we kept on talking, and we played it at a parent-teacher conference.
Oh, Lord.
They would assume we were talking about some child that didn't know how to control themselves, that didn't know how to act, and that's my biggest problem with Bush. That's my biggest problem with Trump. It's not, I agree with you. He's a businessman, and he should be able, a smart businessman knows to hire people that are smarter than themselves. So it's not
That's
like
right.
he
Which
would.
he does. I mean, that's what he's not doing his real estate stuff now. He's got people he trained doing it, and he's still on top. I mean, I'm
Right,
pretty
but
sure
again, I don't want to even go there on that because I want to stay on target. My problem is that he acts like a 6-year-old.
If and when he becomes president,
Right.
Like Obama has not acted like a 6-year-old.
No, but Obama hasn't insulted
Really?
entire groups of people. You know, he hasn't called our neighbors drug dealers and rapists.
Seriously, they talked to him, what was it, a couple months ago, and he was like, oh, well, I'll just pick up my stuff and go home. You know what? I wish you did. Go back to Kenya.
But this, no, he's not from Kenya. That's another Trump guy.
I'm going to check the Roddy Piper right now, man.
The guy produced 2 birth certificates.
All right.
Trump is going to have the right people around him, whatever. Problem with politics is, I'm sure the greatest president is out there, but you know what? He's not in politics. He's in business. He's doing something else, and he doesn't want to get involved. Same thing like Colin Powell. They wanted him to run for president. And what did he say? I value my private life. There are a lot of good guys out there, but we're stuck with what we're stuck with, you know?
Well,
and a lot of people I talk to on politics and on my own personal page,
Right.
who you going to vote for? And I said, you asked me the wrong question. Ask me who I'm voting against. I'm voting against Bernie and Hillary. I'll vote for whoever. You could put Bugs Bunny, and I'll sign up for Bugs Bunny.
Wow.
Up against Bernie or Hillary.
Wow.
You know? And Hillary had a meltdown a couple of days ago. Did you see what happened with her?
No, what happened?
But the a reporter approached her and asked her if she was taking some money from some environmentalists, and Hillary had a meltdown, blew up. It went from smiling, just like on a dime. You're worried about Trump? You should see Hillary's reaction.
Well, I'm not a fan of either. So,
well, but this is what I'm saying. It's the lesser evils.
But the difference,
the lesser two evils.
The difference between those and the one scenario I'm focusing on,
all right, go to the one
is diplomacy.
Stay on it.
I mean, because this is the thing.
Yeah.
It's very, let's be honest. We need a woman or a man in charge of this nation that can organize, that can be diplomatic, knows, hey, if I don't know the information, I need to find someone that knows it. If I don't have a skill, I need to find someone that has that skill. And just specifically those individuals, they don't have it all. Neither two individuals you mentioned have it all.
No. But I didn't know you were a
And we
Reagan
need
fan.
someone that has that all. Otherwise, we're screwed.
I didn't know you were a Reagan fan. That's what Reagan did.
Well, no, that's called being a president.
Exactly. No, you're
mean,
right. I agree with you.
I don't necessarily agree with
I know I'm
Reagan
getting
per
around
se.
and I went ballistic a little bit, but no, I agree with you. You know,
You need to. What's the word called?
But
Delegate. We need
it's-
someone that can delegate.
delegate, yes, and you need the right people.
Right.
I mean, look at some of these politicians who have people under them and they screw things up. Remember when Chris Christie had the thing with the bridge? Mm-hmm. One of his people.
Oh, that was terrible.
And here he is, and he's like, it made him look bad. He's like, doggone it, I hired you. Now you're making me look stupid.
But you know what? Because of that incident, Christie should have been humble enough to be like, I'm not even going to try to run for president. Because if I can't run a little state and see about a little bridge, then how am I going to run the number one country in the world? Come on.
Well, I guess, it's I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, look at Hillary, right? She's got that assistant, Uma, right? She's married to Anthony Weiner, the New York congressman who got caught
showing his stuff.
his genitalia to women over the phone more than once.
Right.
Okay? It's bad enough she's married to Hillary. Now her assistant's husband can't keep it in his pants either.
Right.
So what can we say about Hillary? You can't keep controlling your husband. Your assistant's husband is just as bad.
But you know what?
You had
To be fair, their romantic lives have nothing to do with them running the nation. And it's not even them. It's
you talk about
the
Christie
husband's.
and his assistant. And you can't keep your own spouse in line. Come on.
Oh man.
You know? You can't. Doggone, 7:30 already. If you can't keep your own spouse in line, how are you gonna keep anything else in line?
I hear where you're going with it.
If your own spouse doesn't respect you enough for that, how are you gonna keep everything else?
One argument to even what I just said, some people say, well, if you can't even be faithful to your spouse, how can you be faithful to the country?
Exactly.
You know.
And let me tell you, Hillary's taking a lot of money from some questionable people.
But then if you go look at that, I mean, Trump's track record, romance, relationship-wise, isn't the cleanest either.
Well, exactly. That's why when it is Trump against Hillary,
right,
that subject better not come up. Right. They better not start talking about spouses, Trump and Hillary, at the debate. Because
this is the thing. Hillary married one man that did his thing versus Trump, just replacing his wives over and over again and getting a hotter, younger model each time.
Hold on.
I mean, let's be fair.
Monica Lewinsky wasn't hotter and younger than Hillary? Yes, she was.
Really?
Okay. And
really?
Bill,
she was younger.
Bill
you were right. Wait, Dean. I have to say, when you were right, you were right. She was younger.
But I mean, Bill has had more than one romantic incident, and I'm sure Hillary knows about it. And Hillary has known.
I don't understand. When do people's private sex lives every president, with the exception of one, believe it or not, Richard Nixon, every president has had an affair. Why is that relevant to their being? I mean, Thomas Jefferson had a whole other family on the side. That's not
his own slaves, actually.
Wait, he was one of the founding fathers. You had a father, right?
Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. Boo. If there was a boo button, you would get it right now. Boo.
Oh, go ahead. I'm first one in 3 years. That's not bad.
All right. Hopefully Al Sharpton's not watching this show.
Oh, I hope he is. Come on the show. I like to speak to you.
So, but Yeah, man. So it's just it. To be fair, we need someone that's a little bit more balanced or seasoned. I wish we could actually push the elections back. I wish we actually could, like, all right, guys, we need to extend this Obama thing another year till we get some people that could really take over. You know, he needs to pass the torch to someone that could balance it out. You know, and I'm not. At this point, I almost don't have that much of an interest in discussing any presidents from the past or even the one that's present. I'm really interested to see where we're going, you know, because a lot of times, you know, even through the debate, they spent a third of their energy bashing Obama instead of taking that energy to talk about what are they going to do. And then they spent another third bashing each other.
And a lot of it's bashing Trump. I mean, this is the
Right.
first time I've seen the Democrats team up with the Republicans in years. Unfortunately, both of it is to go after Trump.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, what's that guy to say?
Right.
You know, I've lost faith in both parties.
Right.
You know,
So it's
It's
interesting
sad.
food for thought. I
the only
think
hope we can have, as corny as it sounds, is in the American people. And hopefully that, you know, if you all want another revolution, just sign me up.
oh man.
I'll be there.
And you'll be there. And on that note, thank you guys so much for checking us out. And we might do a part 2 to this or bring a whole bunch of other information to you. I know we're going to talk about some stuff having to do with the environment, and there's a lot of environmental issues that are not coming to the table. There's so many important issues that are not being spoken about. And hopefully we could get some people to think and inspire you guys to get involved and to vote, because it's important. Every election's important, but let's just say right now where we're at, the next 4 years are very important.
Very, very important.
All right, have a good one. You're watching POLITIRIXX. It's close, almost.
Oh, I feel like I'm in a Queen video.
Oh my, yeah, you do. Vote. Thank you guys.
Have a good week.
Have a good one.